Hi, everybody, and welcome to the first live streaming lecture from Natha Yoga Center Reykjavik here in Iceland. My name is Jitka Stara, and the theme of today's lecture is Tantric Lovemaking in the 21st century. And as it was stated in one of the first sentences describing this lecture, the way we make love reflects our attitude towards our life in general. And already from this sentence, we can intuit that this subject is really vast and complex and can be talked about for days and requires mastering for the lifetime being. So in today's lecture, we really just touch the cornerstones of Tantric Lovemaking. So take it as an introduction to this vast, amazing subject. And also, when we think of this sentence, how is our attitude towards our life? We can reflect very easily. How do we behave generally in our life? Are we tense or are we spontaneous? Are we allowing ourselves to be playful, to enjoy the juices and the gifts of life that life offers? Are we active? Do we have passive attitude? And from all these reflections, we can see how we probably act in our bedrooms or how we connect to our intimacy. And one of the cornerstones of Tantric Lovemaking is awareness upon our actions. So Tantra itself is most of all path of awareness. So in a way, Tantra will not tell you what you're doing right or wrong, but rather through systematic practice, techniques and methods, it aims to raise our consciousness and bring awareness to all aspects of life in every moment we live. And there is a beautiful saying which states, what we do not control controls us. And here you can already connect a little bit to the intimate life and the erotic energy that very often we are controlled by our erotic desires, by our sexual energy, as this energy is very alive or can be. So how to apply awareness in the lovemaking? First, it is important to realize how do we actually treat ourselves generally in life, and then we just move this awareness into our bedroom. So do we compromise ourselves? And what do I mean by compromises is when you look into yourself and into your true heart's desires, what do you wish for? What is your biggest desire? And are you aiming to fulfill it, or are you compromising these wishes for the comfort, or because of the fear, because of the patterns, and simply because this is a little bit how our society is structured, that there are certain things given, and if you step out of the box, it's already a little bit uncomfortable. So how do we pay attention to ourselves? In this beautiful act of lovemaking, there are so many things involved. It's a complex event or a celebration of two or more beings coming together. Let's focus on two beings in the times of Corona. And how do we compromise our wishes in the bedroom? Do you remember this sentence that 3 minutes in heaven are better than 1 minute in heaven? Well, unfortunately, according to certain researches, the average time of lovemaking in the couple relationship is around 7-8 minutes. And from experiences or hearing from others, luckily for me, I have to say that even that is quite generous in many cases. And This can very easily be understood if we just zoom out from the bedroom into the world we live at and look at ourselves and our society. So the way our society is imposing the lifestyle on us is a very hectic life. Everything is happening very fast. You can see it in the relationships. In the older days, you had the one partner for a lifetime. Now you have all those meeting applications. You can meet someone online in a few minutes and spend the night with him a few hours later, and then go to another one and another one. You exchange jobs like this. Everything is happening fast. Everything is available very fast. And in a way, we live in a time of instantaneity. We have all these sources that can bring us immediately to the information or to the source. You can call and have a food ready and delivered to you in 10 minutes. And in the way, we are reflecting this fast and furious lifestyle also in our couple relationship. But you know what they say about fast food, it makes you sick. So think about it in this way. If we allow this hectic time to reflect in our intimacy, we don't have opportunity to really connect to ourselves, to our desires or wishes, to our beloved one. We only become part of this hectic whirlpool of events. And how can you even be aware of what is happening? Well, I'm sure you have this experience when you're in a hurry and you have to catch up a meeting and you're hungry and you're eating and you eat something very fast. You don't even know how it tasted. And it's the same with lovemaking. If you jump on each other and everything is over in 5 minutes, how can you even become aware of what just happened and what emotions you went through and what did you feel on a physical level and on a mental level and so forth? So in this way, it is very important to just take a step back, just take a breath and slow down a little bit. It's enough that the cars and everything around is so fast. We don't have to follow this speed. In fact, when we take a moment, then we can become aware of what is happening. And there is also another aspect that our society is imposing onto us in a way, and we accept it, and then it reflects in our lives, and that is the tendency to consume and to be passive. So we are just passively accepting everything as it is. Like, okay, we are doing it this way, all right. You have some better things to do, like talk to your friends on WhatsApp. All right, fair enough. And in this way, we are letting our own wishes to disappear because we are not used to stepping up for ourselves and having an active attitude. So let's look at this word, lovemaking, because already just by looking at that word and understanding it, you can intuit that when you make something, it is an active act. It is an action that has to be done. It has to come from you. Lovemaking doesn't happen when you are just there to receive. So in this way, it's very important to realize that making love requires an active attitude. It is a little bit like when you have a baby. You have a baby, it's healthy, it's beautiful, it's wonderful, you cuddle it, you enjoy it, and then you don't feed it. And what happens to the baby if you don't feed it for some time? So let's not go to the tragic conclusions, and maybe we can just move it back to the relationship and the lovemaking. So if we don't feed our relationship actively, then we consume it, and then it's drained, and then all of a sudden it is gone. And then we say, but what happened? I don't love you anymore. Where did this love go? And we don't realize that actually we consumed it. Instead of giving ourselves, we were just taking and squeezing the juices from the relationship. And it remained dry and dead. And then we are left out with a big surprised face and a question mark in our eyes, and have no idea what happened. And then all of a sudden, all these ideas like, oh, you have changed and you're not what you used to be appear. But it has nothing to do with it. It has to do with us exploiting the relationship. And if we move this into the lovemaking, then I'm sure you have in the memory very passionate lovemakings that are happening naturally at the beginning of a love relationship. So you fall in love, it is amazing, you see your lover as the most beautiful, smartest and funniest person ever. And that also reflects in the way you make love. It's passionate, it's full of emotions, it can last for hours, it's very colorful, it's full of juices, it's just amazing. And then after some time, the passion is a little bit falling down, it's not as colorful, it's not that juicy anymore. And then after more time, we might or might not realize certain patterns that we are falling into, the same position, much less energy involved, much less emotions involved. It is becoming drier and drier, and then what happens? Then all of a sudden, your lover is not the most beautiful person in the world anymore. The lovemaking is not what it used to be. What happened? What did you do? And then instead of realizing that what we did was that we just consumed all the juices and we were not giving anything in return, we tend to blame the other. Oh, you know what you used to be, you used to excite me so much, and now look, I don't even want to make love to you. And unfortunately this is happening to the vast majority of couples, and only if we have the courage to see this, we can actually transform it. So obviously, it is no tragedy that certain things, when they are repeated, fall into certain patterns, but only by putting our awareness and realizing that this is happening, we can actually transform it and awaken again this fire of the energy of the beginning. This energy of the beginning. Think of every action that you involve yourself into, how enthusiastic you are to begin with. When you want to paint your room and you choose your favorite color and you move out the furniture and then you start and it's all awesome and you have a lot of energy and a lot of ideas, and maybe you make some details and you want to do this and that. And then you make the first wall and the second wall, and then the ceiling is really difficult to paint. And then all of a sudden you don't want to paint anymore, and then maybe the rest of the house is waiting to be painted, and then you just drop it because you can't be bothered anymore. So what happened is exactly this energy of beginning that is present in every action is consumed, and because we don't actively feed that event through our active attitude, it just dries out. And it's the same in our bedroom, in our intimate lives. We exploit all the emotions, all the juices, we exploit all the passion that is there. And what remains is a semi-dry pattern, and making love every second month in the middle of the month on Wednesday for 7 minutes, and then it is all gone. This act of or this attitude of active love is essential for us. And you know that one of the most fundamental needs of a human being is to be happy, to be fulfilled. And unfortunately, many people lost this notion that the true happiness comes from within, and they seek happiness outside. So that's why all this consumerism and the goal-oriented actions are happening around, because we need to take from outside and entertain ourselves. And I bought new shoes, that makes me happy for 5 minutes, and then it's gone, so I have to get something new. And it's the same in the love life. And instead of looking into ourselves and realizing that the true happiness really doesn't come from anywhere but from within, and there is nothing that we can buy to discover this source of happiness that we have within ourselves. And in our intimate relationship, this is where it gets amplified. When we are in a couple relationship, it means that we open our heart to another person. That already for many is a big thing. It requires a lot of courage to allow someone to step into your private life. And then in a intimate life, in a love relationship, in a lovemaking events, it's even more amplified, because you're not only allowing somebody to come into your emotional and energetical space, but you are allowing someone to connect to you on a physical level. I can't really think of a bigger opportunity for us to connect to the deepest, the most intimate wishes and not wishes just to experience happiness and love, but also to give. And back to the beginning of the love relationship, when you fall in love, you don't think of yourself, you just want to give, because it makes you so happy and it feels so natural. And in a way, it's the most fantastic thing. And you don't even have to, we don't even have to have the example of couple relationship. When you're a child and you make a gift for your mother from paper, you draw something, you're so excited to give it to her. And then you give it to her and you feel so happy, you're jumping. And when your mother embraces you, it's like the best day ever. So this natural state that we have to give, where does it disappear? Why is it gone after some time? Because we lack awareness upon this need to continuously, consciously give ourselves to the other one. And obviously it reflects in a lovemaking. When we make love with someone we are crazily in love with, we don't care about our own pleasure. We are there to give, and we just want to make the other one happy. And somehow all the pleasures appear naturally as a inevitable side effect, a very pleasant side effect, by the way. And it is not a coincidence that it happens like this. You see, when I was small, I saw this independent movie, and in this movie, a man told this sentence. He said this sentence to a small boy, and he said, "Remember what I'm telling you now." And he said, "What you give is yours, and what you keep is lost." Now, it really is worth contemplating that sentence, because that sentence blew my mind when I was small, and it is with me since. And exactly in this sentence, it is described this profound revelation of active love, because what you give is yours, and what you keep is lost. Meaning, when you give love, you feel a love. The love is within you. And what you keep, when you don't give love, is lost, then there is no love, not even for you, because it doesn't have this opportunity to stream from you through your heart. Then it is just lost forever. You think you can keep the love like a bird in the cage, but it will not sing, and it will not bloom. It won't be happy. It will just suffocate. And interestingly enough, to have an awakened heart and to be centered in the heart is a very natural state of a human being. But somehow we have forgotten in the 21st century that is goal-oriented. And when you meet a new person, one of the first questions would be, where do you work? It will not be, what makes you happy in life? But it is oriented towards possessions, towards education, career, and all these illusions that actually disconnect us from our heart are somehow bombarding us from everywhere. And then we simply forget that being in love doesn't mean that you need someone. It just means that you open your heart towards everyone, towards the entire world. And already that means you're in a relationship with yourself, with your own heart, because you were courageous enough to open it and in a way expose yourself. And obviously, there are so many projections that we carry inside, and so many fears that restrict ourselves, or we allow these projections to restrict ourselves from being open, being free, and being in the heart, because we are so afraid to be hurt. And this is valid in our bedrooms as well. So take a moment to reflect on the power of feedback. When did you, with your lover, sit down, or even in a bed after lovemaking, or maybe not directly after, but when did you take a moment to give each other a feedback? And I don't mean a criticism, as unfortunately in today's world, there is the tendency to reject feedback as a criticism, and then people are afraid to tell each other what you think because people will get hurt and you're criticizing them. But it's not like that. Actually, when we give feedback, we are giving a chance to the other one for transformation. And especially in a loving couple relationship, when it comes to lovemaking, nobody was born knowing where to touch the other one, how to please. This is all process of learning. And yes, the human bodies of women are the same, more or less. Human bodies of men are same, more or less. But we are such a complex beings. Our complexity reflects on an emotional level, on a mental level. We have different needs, and some people are more passionate, some people are more calm, but not calm in a bad way. And this importance of a feedback is a very important element for lovers. Take a moment to realize what really brings you pleasure, what areas you prefer to be touched, in what way, and find the courage to describe, to communicate this. We all talk about how important is it to communicate, and we have so many platforms for communication. But then the most important communication that is within people who are intimate, we don't encourage. On the contrary, it's like, no, you are criticizing me, and I know how to make love. Well, we don't know how to make love. We see some examples in porn channels And this is not how love should be made, obviously. And yet, porn is so popular in our society. This love that comes from within is basically the main ingredients to a happy life, because you cannot be happy if you don't allow yourself to love. It doesn't work. Hope I did not disappoint anyone who thought that staying in a solitude, holding the heart back, will bring him profound ecstatic happiness. It will not. And this potential of falling in love with someone is actually a reminder for us of our capacity to love, because we don't need other people to love, because love comes from our heart. It is our love, or divine love, that is channeled through our heart. It is love that comes from us, that is given to the world, and then we decide to whom we direct that stream. So yes, some people are a little bit I don't know, use the word selfish, or okay, they direct their stream towards one person, and then that's pretty much it. But in case of women who become mothers, it is such a realization that and a huge revelation that you love your child unconditionally above everything and everyone in the world. And then you have more children and you also love them. And then you also have your beloved partner and you also love him. How is that even possible that you can love so many people? And the trick is because our heart doesn't have any borders. The space of our heart is unlimited and can expand as much as we allow it to. So meeting someone with whom we fall in love with is a reminder of our capacity to love. So let's be active and love everyone. And obviously, loving the entire world doesn't necessarily mean that we make love to the entire world. Another beautiful capacity of awakened heart and an active attitude of love is that it anchors us in the present moment. Because when we are in our heart, then we don't think of the regrets of the past, and we don't think of the expectations of the future. And human beings became amazing architects in building bridges between the past and the future. We drag our past behind and we push our future in front of us. And then the only moment that is real, which is the present moment, we don't live. And the present moment is a gift. That's why it's called present. And in lovemaking, when we are in our heart and we love, we are naturally in the now. We are naturally present in this very moment. And though it sounds really as a simple and natural thing, we are so far from our natural state that for many it is normal that while they are making love to their partner, they think of something else. Something that might excite them more because they have already consumed the excitement of lovemaking with that particular partner, or they simply just think of mundane things like tomorrow's job meeting and when this is gonna be over. So yeah, let's try to orgasm fast, and then we can finally watch the next episode of our favorite series. And think of this goal-oriented tendency that also makes us sometimes feel that orgasm is the goal of lovemaking. Well, it is not. On the contrary, when we detach from the idea that we have to have an orgasm, and we focus on giving ourselves and opening our heart to our beloved one, we allow the energies to flow, and then they can expand, and orgasm happens as a natural side effect of such an attitude. And it is also connected to this need for instantaneity that I already mentioned. This instant orgasms, and women having this masculine attitude. Well, I can also have an orgasm in 2 minutes if I want to. Well, yes, if you know the correct spots, obviously we all can have orgasms in 2 minutes. But what about those 2 minutes? Did you really enjoy that time? What happened in your entire being in those 2 minutes? Not much. I can tell you, 2 minutes, not much. So obviously, one of the important things in lovemaking is to take time and prepare for it. So turn off your phones, prepare a nice setting. And yes, I'm sure that most of you will say, yeah, but of course, but are you really doing it? And are we really taking the time for the intimacy that connects us to our beloved one? And in the moment when we make love and we open our heart and we are actively present for our beloved one, that is the moment where we really connect to each other, and we can expand together and really get to know each other. And this is the time where we feed our love relationship. We bring more emotions to it, more dynamics, more juices. So why compromising or neglecting this part for convenience of chips and movies every night? And yes, one of the aspects is that we became kind of lazy, you know, like, oh, you have to do something for it. And this is exactly that active attitude. It is necessary for us to learn to be active, to do something. And we women are naturally endowed with this capacity to be the inspiration. You know, the muse came, kissed the artist, and then artist created his masterpiece. And it is the same in our relationship with our lover. We as women have this possibility to inspire our lover and kind of guide him through it, because man is a little bit more wired to be goal-oriented than a woman, though many women these days would not agree with me. So let's say that the natural feminine structure is not as goal-oriented as the masculine. And also because we are so used to being bombarded with, you need to be better, you need to improve this, you need to improve that. We kind of move that attitude to our bedrooms as well. And we have the feeling that lovemaking is a competition, and I'll give you lots of orgasms and let's see who will be faster or better or whatever. And then focusing on this, we forgot to focus on ourselves and what we feel, and we totally forgot to focus on our beloved one. So lovemaking is not a competition. It's an opportunity to bring more love, more dynamics, more juices into our couple relationship. It is an opportunity to discover our intimate self, to discover the capacity of our physical body. And there are all sorts of deviations happening in the bed in these times, and it is very important to realize that in order to fulfill this loving act, we need to act, we need to be in harmony, we need to harmonize our level with our partner. So instead of having power games, playing a superior and inferior, feeling that one of them has to be the one dominant and the other one is submissive, aim to see each other on the same level, because we are on the same level and we perfectly complement each other. We don't need to be inferior and superior. And of course, the feminine energy is naturally the one that is receptive, and the masculine energy is the one that is active. And when they are put together, they work perfectly. It is like, you know, that the masculine sexual organ is exterior, and the feminine sexual organ is interior. So from this, we can intuitively connect energetically that a woman is the one who receives and the man is the one who gives. Now, this giving and receiving is not about the submissive and superior one, but it's only about those energies complementing each other, or those two aspects complementing each other on all levels, on physical, mental, emotional, energetical. So there is difference between masculine and feminine sexual energy, because the masculine energy is this penetrating force that is vertical, while the feminine energy is this one that receives, and it is the one that expands. That's why when they are together, they complement each other and they work together perfectly. So you can picture it as a force that is going upwards, which is this penetrating force of masculinity, and then the feminine expansive energy. And when they are put together, the feminine adapts to the masculine and can rise, meaning we can already feel that rising the consciousness, instead of being the flat energy, it can rise up, while the masculine energy together with feminine can expand from being this solar and vertical penetrating force. It can expand and therefore experience more on energetic and other levels. We can also use another analogy a little bit later. So for this, it is important to understand the differences in the masculine and the feminine sexual energy. Now, men, you hopefully will agree with me when I state that the masculine sexual energy, we could say, is of an element of a fire. You only need a spark and the flames appear and you are on and you are ready. And you can rock and roll. Well, it does not apply for a woman as well. So feminine sexual energy has a element, can be analogically perceived as an element of water. So water needs a time to heat up. But then, when it's warm, when it's heated, it can boil and boil and boil and boil. And where is the initial spark of a man and the flame? It is gone. It burned and it went away, and the water is not even hot enough. So here, conclusion of this analogy is that one of the most important thing in order to reach profound states in the lovemaking is to give enough time to the water to warm up. So in fact, the first, it is said in the Tantric treatise, 30 to 40 minutes, a woman should be just passive and should enjoy receiving the pleasures that her beloved one will give her in all sorts of ways without penetration. And only after this time, when she is awakened and when she feels herself expanding and she already even experienced orgasmic states, she is ready for an actual penetration. Now, for those women who would stand up and say, no, 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 it doesn't work for me. I only see my beloved one. I'm ready immediately. I'm all heated up and juicy and we can rock and roll as well. Yes, there is a capacity of a feminine body to look like it is prepared, but as I said before, we are much more complex beings than just our physical appearance. So though we might think we are ready because of us being juicy enough, it doesn't actually mean that we are ready on the more subtle levels. We might not be ready mentally and emotionally, but because of lack of awareness, we don't realize. And if you still don't believe me, fair enough, but experiment with your lover. Say, okay, this woman was saying this, let's give it a try. Now I will lie down for half an hour. You give me pleasure in all the way you get inspired. And then we will move to an actual penetration, continue lovemaking in this way, and let's see how I feel. So you see, there is this tendency, because of us being so exposed by the goal-oriented tendencies, to focus on our genital areas. We focus on our sexual organs so much that we forget that we have the rest of our body. And in fact, you can reach orgasmic states just by rubbing your finger and be aware of it. So it is the awareness that is lacking. And then another thing, it is the capacity that we forget about to expand. Expansion means that the energy that gets is boiling in this area moves to our entire body, into our entire being, and then even beyond that being, and we get into the states that transcend our individuality. But in order to achieve such a state, we need to relax. And you see, there is this tendency to get tense because there is so much happening there, and then I see this orgasm here, and let's go for it, and there we are. But we miss out so much. We miss out on the rest of our being that can be involved. So this act of conscious relaxation is very important. Now, in a lovemaking, yes, it can get very intense. There are lots of emotions, lots of energy, lots of juices, and we can get lost in it. Why not slow down or even take a break? Take a breath, look into each other's eyes, become aware of what is happening, become aware of what is happening in our being, and connect in that situation to our beloved one on even deeper levels. For this, we obviously need to let go of the feeling that things have to happen fast and now, but we need to realize that we have all the time in the world if we create it for ourselves, and that we actually benefit if we slow down, become aware, move and allow the energies to spread. And then also, when we allow the energies to spread from the area of our sexual organs into the rest of our being, there won't be that much tension there anymore that will be kicking in this goal-oriented tendency or the orgasm-oriented tendency. Now, I will step aside and I just wanted to let you know that if you have any questions, you are very welcome to write them down. And then we will take a time at the end of the lecture or I will take a time to answer questions. And if it goes over this hour that was originally planned, it is fine for me. I'm very happy to stay longer and answer questions, and whoever feels like leaving the meeting, you are very welcome to do so. So you don't have to be for the answers and questions, but I just forgot to mention that you're very welcome to write down your answers and I will questions and I will answer them. So back to the lovemaking that is now slower, even with moments where we just enjoy each other's presence, embrace, look into each other's eyes, become aware of what is happening in our being, and we aim to expand that energy and embrace the other one into that field. There's another important ingredient, and that is conscious touch. Now, what does it mean, conscious touch? Conscious touch means that when we touch someone, we are with that person in that moment, and we do it consciously. So we are not just rubbing somebody's skin while thinking of tomorrow's shopping or yesterday's movie. Now, why is it so important? Besides bringing the pleasure, it can always bring much bigger pleasure. Think of the fetus in the womb. So since the fetus is growing, it is the baby is continuously massaged by the placenta. So since we are in our mother's environment, inside of our mother's body, we are continuously massaged, means that we are continuously touched. And obviously there is not a space that is more comfortable and protective and pleasant than being inside of such a space. And of course, in the later stages, we hear sounds, but this touch is like a primer communication. Then when we are born, when we are being born, when we are coming onto this world, it is the touch that we feel, if it is happening in a natural way, obviously. This is the first thing that happens when we come out. Somebody takes us, so somebody touches us, and then if it's a natural birth and all the beautiful procedures are followed, immediately we get embraced by our mother, and we feel her skin, her body on our body, and that makes us feel very safe. And then those women who have children know how undescribably beautiful these moments are. It goes beyond any words. But we also have them, but we all, men included, and women who don't or have children, we all have memories of being small and being embraced by our parents or someone who loved us or cared for us. And we remember how pleasant it was and how safe we felt. And this is this conscious touch, because when we are embracing someone that we care about, we embrace him consciously. We are present in that embrace. We are present in the touch. And it is as if our fingers, our arms become our consciousness. And this is exactly what it means to touch in a conscious way. And again, falling into patterns and consuming our love, we forget that when we caress our beloved one, we need to be there. it doesn't work if we caress someone and we think of something else, because the other person perceives it, maybe not in an aware state, but on some levels he or she does, and then it doesn't bring that love and joy and happiness and the satisfaction. Now also our skin is our biggest organ. So take all these elements, put them together, and you realize that conscious touch is an essential part of lovemaking that brings joy, profound ecstatic states, and connects with our beloved one, connects us to our beloved one on the deepest intimate levels. And for that, you can also practice very easily, exchange like touching massages with your beloved one, and they don't have to be long, but really feel the difference. Even play with it, play with your lover and say, okay, now I'm gonna touch you, and I will think of something else, and now I'll touch you and I will focus, and really aim to put your awareness into tips of your fingers, into your entire palm. So when you're touching your lover, it is as if you would make love to every piece of that skin you are touching, into every piece of that body, and aim to have this state of adoration. You love that person for you, if he or she is not now, but used to be the most amazing person in the world. Recover that, because it is your responsibility. Your state is your responsibility. It's your call, and only you have this capacity to do that. We can get inspired by the other one, as a woman can inspire her lover to adore her by her actions. And remember, women, try not to be the temptation, as the temptation is connected to tendency to manipulate, but the inspiration is that essence that leads to something beneficial. So be the inspiration, inspire your man to love and adore you, and then men will do the same in his masculine way, but this is how the world is. We are wired differently. When we allow ourselves all these elements, or when we put them into practice, being relaxed, allowing the energy to expand, practicing being aware of what is happening, we don't have to focus on orgasms, because believe me, they will appear naturally, and not only as some superficial, short, explosive experiences on the level of sexual organs, but a full body orgasms. Now, in the tantric lovemaking that is done in this way, it is kind of analogically called as walking the stairs, stairways to heaven. So walking up the stairs, you can see that this ascending flow is connected to expansion of the energies, because when we make love, and there are lots of emotions, lots of energy, and then we slow down, we become aware, and then we again start to make love, it grows even more. So as it is expanding in the waves, we are getting closer and closer to heaven. Now, one of the most important ingredients in the pot that would be called tantric lovemaking is called sexual continence. And this is a little teaser, as I will conclude this lecture with this teaser, and tell you that this subject of sexual continence will be talked about in the coming continuation of the lecture on tantric lovemaking. So this lecture today was an introductory to some basic elements of tantric lovemaking, but it is not all that is necessary in order to make love in a tantric way. So for those who enjoyed, you are very welcome to follow the events on Natha Yoga Facebook page, or you can send email directly to me on jitka@natha.is. I will also write the email into the chat group, and the time is a little bit faster than I would wish it to be, but now we will continue with some questions and answers. So could you give an example of inspiration women can do to a man as opposed to temptation and manipulation? So it is very important to become aware of your attitude in action, because with an inspiration or temptation is analogically just the same like with a knife. Knife can be used as a beneficial instrument to create something beautiful, to carve a beautiful statue or chop a carrot, or it can be used or abused as a weapon and hurt someone very badly. And this we can apply into every action that we do, because the most important is our state. It is our intention and our attitude that we employ in every action. So for a woman, inspiring dance can lead to a wonderful lovemaking, but a tempting dance can lead to a lovemaking that was manipulated. Do you understand? So it is not about what we do, but rather what is our attitude, how we do it. So it is always about our intention and our attitude. So becoming through a practice, of course, nobody is born master. Well, few are born as masters, but the vast majority of us are not born masters. And through continuous practice and becoming aware of the feedback from our environment, from our lover, we slowly recognize when we are in our heart and we engage into some action because we want it from our heart without any hidden agenda. And by hidden agenda, I mean detached from expectations. So when you want to inspire your man, this inspiration comes through you, from your heart. And it should not be connected to expectations that it will lead somewhere. Because once we attach to the expectation, our attitude is not as not as clean anymore, and it definitely would fall more into the category of manipulation rather than inspiration. So always we aim to be active in our state, but in a state of detachment, because it's exactly that attachment that that directs us to the trap of an ego, where we fall into, but look at me, I just danced for you the most amazing dance, and what did you do? You didn't do anything. So there are different explanation for that. Maybe your man is really not in the mood, something happened, or maybe he needs a little bit more awakening and a feedback from you about it. But already when we have this attitude, it is not directed through the heart, but expectations always fall into the category of projections. So highlighting this attitude and intentions. So if your intention is to inspire, then it's perfect. If your intention is to seduce your man, no matter what, and this is the goal, and you attach to it, then it's already shadowed by the tendency of women to manipulate. And of course, we are women. Women are maybe not in an aware state, or maybe not consciously. We know that we have a lot of power to manipulate men. And it is exactly up to us how we use it, whether we use it for the inspiration and then transforming our beloved one and us in this way as well, or if we abuse it and then instead of positive transformation, we will keep on falling into the ego traps, and then certain patterns will be repeating, certain situations will be repeating, because obviously what you sow is what you harvest. So when our actions are not directed through our heart, certain harsh situations will repeatedly come to us until we learn the lesson. How to deal with sexual anxiety. So how to deal with sexual anxiety if we experience painful sex or sexual assault. This area, of course, is very tricky to deal with, as these experiences leave a lot of traumas in our being. And coming back to the complexity of a woman, we become aware of only certain levels. So in my opinion, a woman who has experienced such events really needs to take care of healing herself, because maybe we think that we are fine, but we have stored our traumas somewhere deep inside. And then if we don't resolve it, these traumas can then manifest on a physical level. And because it's connected to the sexuality, then these manifestations are mostly connected to certain diseases or physical blockages that happen on the level of sexual organs. So if you're in a couple relationship, then it is very much recommended for a man to massage his beloved one and massage her yoni, her vagina, in a loving and respectful and slow way, approaching it as if it was a temple. There are even courses from genuine Tantra temples that offer tantric massages where you can learn this. Or you can, if you are open enough, you can yourself try to find, but I highlight a genuine Tantra temple or a Tantra masseur or masseuse. And through tantric massages, there can be removed a lot of traumas. And then you have all sorts of therapies, as different types of regression therapies, where you go into your subconsciousness and you heal that event or heal the memories and emotions connected to that event, as obviously we cannot change the past, but we can change our perception upon that past. So if you're sexually anxious, then obviously there are certain blockages. So from a perception of yoga, of Tantra Yoga, every blockage can be removed by systematical practice, by certain techniques. But for that you need to go to a school that offers integrated yoga and where you will learn such techniques. If you are interested in more details or certain tips, you're very welcome to write me an email and I can go a little bit deeper into this. But this is actually a very wonderful question, because many women don't realize that very often many women experience certain sexual assaults and it leaves scars, certain traumas deep in their being, and then they suppress it, and then they think they are fine, and yes, obviously they are fine, but to a certain extent. But if we really want to enjoy what the Mother Nature endowed us with, and this is this amazing capacity to reach ecstatic orgasmic states that are really beyond description. That's why we have poetry and sublime erotic art, then we really need to heal and transform these blockages. And also understanding that every disease starts as a thought, and later as an energetical blockage, and then it manifests on a physical level. It is very good to pay attention to ourselves and our states. And for that, we can either do it with the help of our beloved one, because when we love someone, and I mean when we truly love someone, meaning that our heart is open towards that person and we are not afraid to share our fears, and maybe not immediately, but step by step, allowing our beloved one to discover certain blockages and traumas that we have, then because of this combination of masculine and feminine energy, it can have a faster or bigger impact. Doesn't have to. There are no, it's not black and white area, but it is definitely necessary to work with it, as everything that we are not aware of and that we suppress, and it is not beneficial, will be backfiring on us. And every now and then a situation occurs that will trigger these traumas, and we get blocked in certain situations where otherwise we would be spontaneous and free. I hope that answered that. Yes. Very good. Then with this, I will conclude this lecture. It was wonderful to see such a great participation. And I would like to point out that the knowledge that I have presented here is partially from the materials presented in the Tantra Yoga course here at Natha Yoga Center, written by a senior yoga teacher, Advaitananda Mihai Stoyan, and some information were from books and seminars by a yoga professor, Gregorian Bivolaru, and some notions and the integrity of that came through personal experience. So I wish you all a wonderful evening. Make love, and please remember that awakened heart is the best remedy for all diseases, and it's also the best protection from all the viruses and whatever might be flying around. So make love with open heart, with adoration, and be happy.